Peace. It is a holiday in, at least in southern Maine. Um, what did they say? Sustained winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour. I'm sorry, not sustained. Sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour with wind gusts up to 40 to 50 miles an hour. Trees down everywhere. There's people losing power here, there, and everywhere. My particular area, so far so good. We still got the lights on, but don't worry about me. I got a generator, so it's not a uncommon occurrence in Maine that you lose power. My uh, my gratitude comes from the fact that this is rain and wind. If this was snow right now, which would not be um, unusual for this time of year. But the fact that it's snow, that it's rain, I'm like, thank you, because if this was snow right now, we'd be buried. We would be buried. It's torrential rain, and it would be a blizzard, full on blizzard, nor'easter. But the primary reason I'm here today, uh, I cannot help but you have a life changing moment, i.e., a near death experience, and it completely and radically changes your perception. What is and isn't important? What is and isn't this place? Um, I assure you, when I was laying on the gurney, I wasn't thinking, boy, I wish I had worked harder. But it has radically changed my perception. And something that I worked in healthcare, I worked in the surgery department, and uh, it was not uncommon to have either emergency or scheduled cesarean sections. And I was very fortunate enough to be an OR tech, and I got to witness some of that, and on a few occasions, and what a miraculous experience. And but um, over this last year and a few months since my near death experience, it gave during the near death experience, it gave me a great deal of insight and an adjustment to my perception of things. In particular, my very own mother, with whom I had a very what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Volatile. I had a volatile, inappropriate relation. Inappropriate. Yeah, a volatile relationship with my mother throughout my childhood, and it set me on a course. I'm reminded of oh God, what was that person's name? What was that person's name? Um, the quote that I'm remembering is, "Give me a child for the first 7 years of their life, and I will tell you who they're going to be for the remainder of their life." Those pivotal years where we're forming our viewpoints, our attitudes, our personality, our character, our integrity, and how like clay, how we are formed um, as individuals. But give me a child from until they're 7 years old, and I'll tell you who they're going to be for the rest of their life. I am very happy and pleased and relieved to share with you that no matter what happened during those formative years, you can always change that. You can rewire yourself. It's not easy. It ain't easy, but I really I like the attitudes and the feelings and the emotions and yes, even the affection, the genuine respect and affection that I now have for my mother, albeit posthumously. Um, and one of the greatest things over the last year and a few months, I coming out of that near death experience and seeing things and how would I do things differently when you see the connections and the patterns and how things work. And I'm going to allude to uh, the idea of reincarnation through my near death experience was pervasive. There was a strong element of reincarnation, and what would I do now? What would I do now, knowing what I know, feeling what I feel, sensing what I sense, and I look at the core. I review the things that I do know about my mother and her childhood and her life experiences and the traumas that she faced, and and um, the interactions that she and I had, and I was racking my brain like because I felt like in a very human sense, in a very physical sense, I had made an amends with her within myself, that I came to a good understanding, an awareness of the dynamic, and there's a certain point or aspect of having that recurring theme of reincarnation in my near death experience, that I can see, like, because I made reference to this experience, this lifetime experience was much like a final exam, and like I had the opportunity to go home once and for all. I made a choice to return. It wasn't forced upon me to return to my body. And I look at my mom, and having having this idea, like, oh, that was my final exam. Like, you're gonna push all my buttons over experiences that I've had over lifetimes, and you're gonna be the purveyor of those explosions. I'm gonna give you those things in the first 7 years of your life, and continuing on even. And this is gonna be your final exam. I'm gonna. It's like, wow, dude, wow. I see my mother with such a different perception, with different eyes. I don't see her with the eyes in my head. I see her with the eyes in my heart. And it's but anyway, coming out of that experience, knowing what the profundity of our free will plays for us as individuals, and I was given the choice to stay where I was in this ethereal realm, this in this ethereal essence, my essence, or I could come back to this physical human body, earth experience, and maybe do some other things. But where this comes in is I'm like, so if I can choose to come back again, what as it pertained to my mother, wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be wonderful to have the experience, to remember that experience when I do eventually pass on, 10 minutes or 10 years, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, and to come back and perhaps have an agreement, shall we say? An agreement. I don't want to say contract, but have an agreement with my mother's essence. See if I can find her, and you know, like mom or whatever. What you know? All right. So in this lifetime, in this current lifetime that you and I had a very volatile dynamic, and I understood your. I grew to understand your trauma and what an awful experience that was for you. So we're somewhere off in our essence form, and to have an agreement that she and I would return, um, and we're going to flip the script. I'm going to be your father, and you will be my daughter. However, in this particular case, whatever it takes to form me into a loving, nurturing, caring father, and you will be my daughter, and I will give you the opportunity to experience what that's like, as opposed to the traumatic experience that you did have. And I'm very curious to see, like when I eventually get there, yeah, why not infinity, man? What do you want to do with it? You want to try that and see how that works out. Now, that wouldn't necessarily dictate my mother's responses and reactions, but it would give her an environment to thrive. And would she thrive in an environment where her father, i.e., me, flipping the script, was a kind, loving, attentive, um, strong father, a good role model for a girl, for a young lady. And I'd be very curious to see how that would work out. But within that idea, or within that fantasy or dream or intention, that I would be willing to do that, it's just a lifetime. It's just a lifetime. Um, what would happen? What would happen? Which led me into something else that from a very young age in this lifetime, I was utterly and absolutely convinced that I never wanted to have children of my own. And I took steps to make sure that would never happen. I had a vasectomy, and whatever. However, I found that perhaps life had different plans for me, and I ended up marrying. And the woman that I married had 4 children, so I had the opportunity to be a stepfather to 4 children, and even though the relationship, the romantic marriage relationship failed, or didn't succeed, or was not, till death do you part, and we parted ways, the experience of having stepchildren and being able to step into a role of a stepfather. And what I can't speak for my former stepchildren, but it was a very fulfilling experience. Um, and the things that unfolded and transpired and happened, and um, to establish trust and vulnerability uh, with them, and to feel their to feel that from them, that, like, wow, they really trust me, and it was, what a wonderful feeling that was. And leads me into this part of the ramble. I've been like, I was contemplating over the last year and a few months. All right, so I'm back. The thing, the emotion, the feeling, the sensation, the energy that drew me back here, like there was something there, and by coming back and doing what I did, and yep, I fulfilled that purpose. I've already fulfilled. Well, there must be another reason for you to be here. Um, and I'm like, no, there isn't. I'm just like sitting in I'm sitting in the train station waiting for my train, my connecting flight to show up or whatever. My connect, if that makes any sense. But over the course of time, it's like, all right, so if something isn't going to, a purpose, all right, so I'm going to be here. I don't want to be bored. And I'm tired of like looking at this place. It's like, geez, man, it feels like a jail cell at times. So what am I going to do with my time? What's that purpose? And nothing was, uh, shall we say, presented to me. No epiphanies, no great moments of clarity. I had to dig in and try to figure this out for myself. Like, all right, so what do you want to do, man? You've got 10 minutes or 10 years, and what are you going to do with that time? And I can't remember her name. There's another quote, but planting the purpose that resonated with me. It was just a moment where, and it was completely resonant. It made sense. Was to plant trees that I'll never sit under, and I mean that figuratively. Um, to do things with what time I have to perhaps make the lives of the lives of perhaps relieve a burden. Um, but these are things that I'm thinking about posthumously. That these are not things that I'm going to reap the benefit from. These are trees that I will never sit under. And that means something to me. It's a very private, personal, intimate thing for me, experience for me, and I know where the direction and I know what that is, and it's not my intention to be vague or confusing. It's just something I hold dear within me. It's that private, it's that private space within me, and it's something that gives me a continued purpose for the remaining time that I'm here. And it led me to something else. It led me to something else. Um, Having had the experience of my earlier years, knowing so firmly or perceptively believing I don't ever want to have kids, and having the vasectomy, but then marrying a woman with 4 stepchildren and becoming a surrogate stepfather to 4 children, and like what that experience afforded to me, and what I was able to offer them. Um, it was a wonderful thing, and then I started thinking it was like a puzzle, and all these little pieces were like clicking into place. I'm 57 years old. I have coronary artery disease. Um, I cannot and a vasectomy, so I cannot reproduce. I can't. I'm impotent as a result of the coronary artery disease and what they refer to as peripheral neuropathy. Um, so I'm not talking about this from a sexual physical standpoint, but this idea just keeps like, wow. And wouldn't it be awesome that in this lifetime, in what time I have remaining here, if I could experience the entire pregnancy of a woman, for example, a single mom who maybe doesn't have the support of a partner to go through um, uh, OBGYN appointments, Lamaze classes, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that would be something that would be just so cool, um, to go through that experience with somebody who was in need of a partner. Um, Not my child, but they needed somebody, or it would benefit them. It would benefit the child. It would give them a much happier experience to have the support of someone through that experience. Um, the things that like just pop in there and like, wow, wouldn't that be great? People talk about, I wish I had $1 million. I wish I had a boat. I wish I had more time to go travel, or and I'm like, wouldn't that be cool, man? Wouldn't that be cool? To go through that experience with an otherwise single mother. Wow, I'm just like full of it today. Um, Feels good to be home. I had to go. I mentioned earlier in the show that it's torrential out there. It's brutal, man. I'm looking outside, just like the trees are just going like this. I'm waiting for them to snap. It's wild. But these are the things I like. I love. I so enjoy, and maybe this is my purpose, that I get to enjoy what time I have remaining in a human existence, but from that perspective of infinity, and the things that I experienced and witnessed, and I learned about myself and this place. What a wonderful way to be available to someone else in whatever capacity, to walk through a storm with somebody, to share a joyful moment, to share a painful moment, to experience joy and grief and sadness and ecstasy, and in a way that can only be experienced in human form. I've done my bit, again, going back to reincarnation. I've already done my bit with some of the darker shit. Excuse my language, but it is shit, shite, garbage, the darker aspects um, my essence, in former lives. Violence, loneliness, greed, um, power, things that I experienced over lifetimes, uh, mind numbing fear, fear and being controlled by others. Um, uh, you know, wow, um, being raised in a Christian religion, you know, uh, we never heard about reincarnation. That was, that was taboo. But when you think about the word reincarnation, and then a lot of the Christian dogma talks about resurrection, reincarnation, and maybe how those words kind of got jumbled around. Things got rewritten. Things got from one person's point of view. Like, wow. But I'm like, just wow. And oh man, the the things that perhaps would have over from a human standpoint, the things that I love my friends. I have a very small circle, and I love my friends, and yeah, and I genuinely believe that veil between this human existence, perceptively human, tactile, you know, and our ethereal, more divine essence, like what might otherwise be called our soul or our life force, or that part of us that is and will always be. Um, it's been my experience in particular. I've had some wildly bizarre, amazing experiences over the course of my life that left me scratching my head. But since the near death experience and the experiences that I've had since, um, that veil between this human form and that, where, it's right there. It's right there. It's seemingly beyond our reach, but it's not reached in a physical form with our hands. It's not. It's something that we connect with from there. And I uh, feel so grateful for uh, the people that have been there for me. And it's a privilege when I can offer them the same, something in return, something in kind. Um, and it blows me away. It blows me away. It's a good day, albeit crappy weather and what have you. But I love smiling. It's such a good feeling. But these feelings, these like, oh, it's awesome. Peace, peace. Here, it's here. It's here. It's not over there. It's not over there. It's not in my wallet. It's not in my car. It's not in my house. It's right here. It's right there. And it's not just me. It's all of us. That's peace, peace. I love you guys. I love you guys. Sprinkle that stuff. Later.